Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
What's up?
Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Live Sessions 5.
Number five.
How are you today? Have you recovered from Valentine's Day? I hope you have. Welcome to Table for Four Live Sessions, where we are the podcast that talks about different stories and topics in the headlines and everything else in between. So let's start it off with a Valentine's Day recovery the day after. So, what were your thoughts? What were your plans for Valentine's? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. What did you do? Did you do anything differently? We did something different this year. We did a Valentine's Day food drive where we decided to go to different spots to try new foods, just to do something different as opposed to getting reservations and sitting down into one restaurant. So, we went and did a tour in Queens. We have a video there on School Commute Convos. I'm going to be doing up a quick post talking about all the places. We'll send links and addresses of all the places we visited, but we recovered and we took a big old nap right after. So Still trying to recover. But guys, there is this interesting article that I saw that talks about sleeping in separate beds. Now, is this something that you find beneficial? Why are you shaking your head already? I didn't even say anything.
It's nonsense.
What do you mean it's nonsense?
It's nonsense.
No, it's not. Pull up the article. So apparently the New York Times was talking about how certain marriages and certain relationships benefit from sleeping in individual bedrooms, meaning that it's more than you think. What happens is you have your two separate spaces and you go to each of your own corner. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. So according to this Instagram post, it says you have to be practical with marriage if you want to stay married. This particular couple that has been married for 40 years, Esmeralda and Jay Wood, have slept in separate bedrooms for half that time. So do you think, what's your thoughts about sleeping in separate bedrooms?
Foolishness. It's why I just don't see the benefit. Why? Just to make somebody just to
look at you.
Statistically, they say that it's supposed to be make you happier when you sleep in separate beds. So it's like having a roommate instead of a wife.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Is that what it is?
That I agree.
Right. So this post says there are definitely times when we do sleep together for emotional support.
AKA the Zegzy talk. Zegzy talk. Zegs.
It's only for emotional support. I don't get that. And then this one, it's a kind of hosting each other within our home. So Valerie Wester got used to having her own bedroom when she was a grad student and wanted to continue that arrangement with her partner Kay Dates. So with this particular posting, this couple has kind of made an arrangement to say, well, I want my own independence while living under the same roof.
You can still have that. Your own independence.
In one bedroom.
Well, that's why you have your man cave, you have your she sheds.
Your she sheds.
You know, add spark to our relationship.
This one in particular says they sleep apart during the week and have sleepovers on the weekend. Oh my God. It says you're no longer trying to figure out ways to break away from your family when you get your alone time. So they said that they began doing this right after the pandemic. So they said that they feel closer now that they have their each own bedroom.
But look at his face. Does he look happy? No, she looks happy, not him.
I want to see what are the comments. Seeing as
my husband and I sleep in separate beds 90% of the time. He snores and I'm a light sleeper, so it works best for us. We have snuggle sessions in the morning on the weekend, and it's
wonderful. Okay.
Another one said, well, it would highly depend from a couple to another one. I've been married for 10 years, and getting into bed together is still a massive highlight in my day. Not the sexual part, just feeling the other one presence and falling asleep. We're apart all day. Sleeping together is awesome to connect us. Quite often, we wake up and have similar dreams. That I don't believe.
What part you don't believe? Having similar dreams?
Yeah. Oh, everyone is different, so whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
Separate bathrooms have kept us together for over 25 years. See, that I agree. Separate bathrooms.
Yes, that I would agree.
I love having my own space.
Okay.
It's so weird how people get defensive about the mere suggestion that other people might be doing things differently than they do, and feel the need to announce it to everybody on the internet.
Even when
why even stay in a relationship? Exactly, those couples are just roommates sharing expenses. It makes no sense. Exactly what I said.
No, but here's again, you have an arrangement. I mean, listen. What is your thoughts about the poly marriages? Like when having one husband having more than one wife. That's a certain arrangement that we're not particular.
Then I'll have different rooms for different wives. That's why we all gonna sleep in one bed together, happy, one big happy family.
Oh my god! No, this is no.
My thing is this: if you guys want to have a healthy relationship, yes, seeing each other all the time makes you sick of each other. It does. What we do,
I'm never sick of seeing.
Because I'm barely home. We work different hours, and that works. You know, you have to keep it spontaneous. You have to, if you want to keep it, just work different hours. So that way, when you do spend the time with each other, it's worth it.
Right.
You know? Okay. Because if you're there every single day next to the same person, I'll be sick of you.
No, sorry. But how did that work? That works for other people. Like the time that it's about quality, not quantity of time, right? Isn't that's the importance of it?
Right.
So, okay, so
quality means me working night shift, you working day shift. We intermingle for like an hour or two a day, and then on our days, we both have the same days off, and then we get to share our time together on our days off.
Now we have our days off. Now that we're able to have our same days off, then that's how we were able to organize it now. But before, what was the reason why we were able to not be sick of each other?
Because we had the kids. You know, like not in that regard, but in terms of like, you know, like I worked nights because we had to do it that way in order for us to, you know, kind of be in the house to.
Somebody was always home.
Yeah, so that way we don't have to go to daycare. You know, we did send them to daycare
for a little bit,
for like 2-3 days a week back then when they were small.
Right.
But then most of the time, the majority of our time,
was home.
Yeah, she was home, and I would be at work, and then we would switch shifts. I would work overnight. She would work like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. I'll be home at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll go to sleep. Wake up at 3 something, pick him up from school, have dinner ready.
Right.
And then I'll be on my way to work around like 7, 8 o'clock at night.
But the thing, again, this is what works for other people. This is how the arrangement works. But what I'm saying when it comes to that different relationship, if it works for them, it works for them. You can't get upset that they want their own space, but you could still have your own space while you're in your home.
Look at this guy. Does this guy look happy? Did that guy look happy right here? He does not look happy. She looks happy because she don't have to tolerate him.
Yo, that's crazy. But if we had our own space, the thing is, we already have enough space or time apart because we are focused on work. We are focused. Like, we spend more time with our coworkers than we do with our friends and family.
Right, that's true.
100%. So if I have the opportunity to stay home with you and then just chill with you, that's what I'm going to do. And if they, whoever they are, want to have a separate bedroom, that's okay too. You know, people might like space. There's people, this is why certain people don't want to have children. And that's perfectly okay too, because they don't want to infringe how they're living right now. If people want to have separate bedrooms, that's okay too. If you share a bedroom, that's okay too. You know what I'm saying? It's not for us to say whether or not this works or it doesn't work, but we just find it funny. I just find it funny that it's just like, I don't spend enough time with you. I'm going to go in my own bedroom in my own space. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And then we're going to have sleepovers in our own house.
In our case, we sleep on the same bed, but we use different blankets. We use separate blankets because the blanket she used, I don't like to use. Or the one that I like to use is too light or thin for her. And, you know, once in a while, we'll use the same blanket.
Whatever. You see that blanket over there? That's the blanket for the couch. He doesn't like that blanket.
I do like that one.
You do like that one. Yeah. Okay. Well,
that's the cuddle blanket.
Yeah, that's the cuddle. But again, everybody is
entitled
to however they want, whatever works for your marriage. I just find it a little bit comical to have sleepovers in your own house. It just makes no sense to me. But we're hoping that you guys had amazing Valentines. But let's going on to the next subject. We're talking about another ridiculous thing. We're winding back to how this all started with the Chinese balloon. Right? Remember in our last live, we talked about and it got shot down. So now it's saying, are we alone in the universe? So the question is, how is it that the White House now has to have a whole conversation in the middle of their White House briefing just to reiterate that there's no UFOs being shot down. Here's my thoughts, right? You best believe something's going on. You best believe something's going on. We are in the midst of something is cooking, something is brewing. There's too many coincidences. There's so many things that are happening. And you best believe that Independence Day is around the corner. I mean, Will Smith should be working on this movie as opposed to Bad Boys Part 4 or For Life, whatever that movie is. So if you could pull up that clip, because it's just, I don't know. It's just weird to me.
There have been questions and concerns about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Again,
See how
there
everybody
is
else
no
is laughing
indication
too?
of aliens or terrestrial activity with these recent takedowns. Wanted to be sure that the American people knew that, all of you knew that, and it was important for us to say that from here because we've been hearing a lot about it. I'm not. I'm just, I loved E.T. the movie, but I'm just going to leave it there. With that, with all seriousness, I know there's a lot of questions about the flying objects. Admiral John Kirby is here with us today, and he's going to have a couple things to say at the top about it, and then take your questions, okay?
Thanks for clearing that up. Makes my job easy.
Just comical.
I do have quite a few comments here at the top, so I do hope that you'll just bear with me and then be happy to take whatever questions you might have. So I'd like to begin today by updating you on our efforts to recover the debris of several objects that the United States Air Force shot down over the last few days, as well as that of the spy balloon belonging to the People's Republic of China. And I'd like to put into some context for you how we have worked and are still working to better understand the issue of high-altitude, low-speed craft. Now, let me start with the Chinese program. When President Biden came into office, he directed the U.S. intelligence community to do
So, this is really something that it's comical in all senses, right? There has been stories, there have been rumors, there have been so many things that have been happening in spite of whatever others may think, right? There's something going on. There's Roswell. There's been many TV shows dedicated to it. Something's going on. And it's just like, what are we to say? We're supposed to take the word of the White House? Yes. We take it at face value, however it is. But if you think that something's brewing, if you don't think something's cooking, I don't know what else to tell you. What are your thoughts? I know we're not alone, but what are your thoughts?
Well, apparently they just received transmission, but I think it's from a star that exploded from like 4 million light years away, something like that. Mm-hmm. They finally received the transmission, so that's like the first signs. But there's signs of life out there. They still haven't received anything, But to say that the unidentified flying object that they shot down, but the other one that they shot down, the new one, it wasn't a Chinese spy balloon. It was something else, something that was flying over somewhere.
That was real specific.
Yeah.
I don't understand. But just trying to see, I don't know. It just seems to me like something's going on, and they just don't want us to know.
Right. They're all laughing, and all of a sudden...
They're all cracking up and cackling.
Exactly. We're going to see the SpongeBob meme 3 hours later.
Right.
And you see UFOs everywhere.
It's just, I don't know.
Destroying capitals.
Jesus. That's the way we have to think about it in that sense. But I want to talk about, moving on to the next topic, something a little bit more serious, a little bit... Not that I'm saying UFOs are not serious. It's just...
It's not serious until it is serious.
Right. And everybody's cackling and it's all fun and games until something goes down. So next topic we want to talk about today is the anniversary of a 15-year-old boy that was killed at a sleepover. So this comes in hindsight about a year later. I think it was 15 or 16 months to the anniversary of when he was He was shot at a sleepover. So apparently, the short story is the Christian Bitello, 15-year-old boy, was at a friend's house, and there was an incident where they were showing the guns and he was accidentally shot in the chest. So his parents were notified and they told him, like, listen, it does not look good, and things turned for the worse for them. So the first question that in the back of mind, in highlight of what we spoke about in last week's live, is the use and the freedoms of gun possession, right? First couple of stories in the week, we've heard about the 6-year-old who shot his teacher at school in front of other classmates. Then we hear about how Florida is now allowing people to carry concealed guns without a license. So now we're seeing these sad stories just like this of a 15-year-old who's going over to his friend's house and he accidentally gets shot in the chest. So the father made a very good point. Like, how do we trust, and do we have the right to ask parents in their homes if they care? Right? Would that be like a conversation starter? When you have somebody coming over to sleepover. See, me, I don't do sleepovers. My mother never did sleepovers. I never did it.
Like never did sleepovers, but it was.
I think it's your boys.
In the beginning, it was.
It's because your boys.
My mom didn't allow us to sleep over at somebody else's house, but they were allowed to sleep over ours.
Right. Why? Because they felt safer here. She didn't want you to go to other people's.
She didn't want us to go to people's houses.
Bueno.
But she felt like we were going to misbehave, and we did.
100%. Y'all will misbehave. But here's the thing now. When you think about asking somebody at a sleepover, what are the first few questions you ask as a parent about a sleepover? What were the first thing? Is there food? Would you be able to feed them? What time would you like me to drop them off? What time would you like me to pick them up? Who's going to be there?
Do you guys need money?
Do you guys need money?
Are you guys going to go out?
Are you guys going to go out to eat? Like, those are like the typical questions that I would want to ask, if I was doing a sleepover.
So now it's like you got to add, do you have any weapons?
Do you have any weapons in your home?
In close range,
Is it locked away?
Right.
Is it anywhere that could be at reach and anybody could get it at any point in time? So that's part of the conversation that now I have to have if people want to have a sleepover in anybody else's house. Now, this happened in the state of Arizona. I do not know how the gun laws are operated in Arizona, but like for this father in particular, now he doesn't have his son now. Simply because he wanted to do something for his son, and his son wanted to hang out with his friends and whatever, just chilling, whatever. But if you can pull up the Instagram post, there were some comments that I haven't had an opportunity to take a look at, but I'm curious to see what are some of the comments from the parents there. And it says, first one, it says, this is why we never allowed our daughter to even visit her school friend's house when I was a kid. I didn't know well enough to keep her safe. And we were once confronted by a parent and asked why she couldn't visit. And I really said, I really know you, and I don't know who you are. See,
that's correct.
That's 100%. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know your habits or practices. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, but
in addition, we didn't invite them over either. She turned out just fine. She socialized 8 to 9 hours a day with her friends at school,
and it wasn't necessary for them to see each other at their home. So that's pretty much just.
When my daughter went to high school and had a new friends over, only one mom actually came to the door to meet me. We get too comfortable and trusting sometimes. Sorry for this family's loss. Another person, as someone who has guns in their home, I always notify parents beforehand and let them know our safety procedures. I'm so sorry this happened. Please know not all people with guns are bad people.
See?
My heart goes out to you all.
So this person in particular makes a note and says, listen,
we have weapons in our house, but they're locked away.
But they're locked away. So the fact that she came out and said that says to me, like, you're thinking of everybody's safety. You're thinking about everybody that's coming into your home, that known, and saying, listen, this is what I have at my home. I just want to inform you.
Right. So my parents never let us sleep over at the house. They worried about fires and irresponsible parents. Now, why wasn't this got? Shame on the parents. A child does not need gun safety. A gun is off limits to any child.
Yeah. So, reading these comments, I feel incredibly sorry for these mom and for this dad and their siblings, because now something's having a sleepover is essentially something simple. It's not that big of a deal. People have them all the time. Me personally, I'm not a fan of them. I've never been a fan of them. If we sleeping over, we're all sleeping over.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's a trip. Look at this person. This person says, it's uncomfortable, but I ask every time my kids sleep over or have a play date, do you have guns in your home? If so, is it locked up or your kids taught gun safety? And I talk to girls all the time about never taking a gun, or if their friend does, leave immediately. Just pray they listen to my word situation if ever faced with it.
So sad. See, even to have that conversation is super, super sad, because else how can you conduct yourself if you knowing there is a gun
Right
at your friend's house? That to me, it just makes me super, super, super sad. But talking about another sad topic, we're talking about how a Jersey girl, 14-year-old, was bullied to death. Now, in recent news, the child's name, Audrina Couched. I'm saying it wrong. I don't want to spell it. It's Kuch. So Couched. So what's happening right now is brief story.
Cooch.
Yeah. So what's happening right now, briefly, about the 14-year-old. The 14-year-old was found in her bedroom by her parents after a few days after an attack. And several things have transpired from this. So, first of all, the superintendent has resigned from the school. Resigned. And a lot of it was to accountability, the lack of both accountability and for the attention that was placed in this particular case. And a police report was never filed. So here's the question that I think about, right? The police, for that particular department, said that the school never called them and never contacted them, but the superintendent said that they did. So now you're lying.
Right.
So that's the first thing. That's a red flag. What other events that had transpired, that the video was released showing the 4 girls act the victim.
All she did was walk down the hallway with her boyfriend. Holding hands.
They
attacked her.
And they
started throwing things at her.
They started throwing things at her, and she got bruises and scratches and stuff like that. Again, we don't know the whole situation. We don't know what really transpired. They could have had a confrontation or a week before, a day before. That we don't know the circumstances around it. But what I do know, if a girl was attacked, or if a boy was attacked, any child was attacked, and then there was no follow-up from the police or anything like that, that's a problem. That's the problem. So now the school has organized a walkout saying that this is not acceptable. How is it that this particular case, that a young girl essentially gave up because of this particular attack, and there was no means of coming back from that? So her parents jumped in immediately, though. I mean, the parents came in, they wanted to know what happened, and she stayed home the next day. The 4 girls were suspended, but they went back to school the next day. So you were suspended for the day, not for the week, not whatever the case. So you were suspended, and then you were allowed to come back to school. That's the other one. Now, there was other similar stories from other parents that said similar stories about bullies at the school, and it was never addressed. So now this particular school, this particular district, has had a history of bullies at the school. Now, a young girl is dead.
This is like a typical 13 Reasons Why story.
And that makes me super
sad. So sad.
That makes me so sad. But here's the thing, though. I don't want to compare it to 13 Reasons, because it is just...
But just like the whole fact that they spread rumors and but in this case they circulated the video online.
Yeah,
and that's what made it.
I think that's what made it worse.
And the girls that were involved, they kept sending her like all these different messages
and taunting her,
and antagonizing her, taunting her, saying that she good for that, she got her ass beat, which is wrong. And because of that,
some of y'all girls are vicious. I'm just putting that out.
And it's unfortunate in this case she took her life. It's it's one of those like do you come to your parents? Do you let them know what's going on? Because sometimes kids are.
No, but the parents were very involved in this case. They were very involved. It's not like they took her to the hospital. They kept her home the next day. You know what I mean? Because they didn't want her to, go to school or whatever the case may be. Let her recover and things like that. But it's not like they weren't involved. You know what I mean? And that's what hurts too, because they were involved. They let her stay home, and then this happened when they let her stay home.
I have no words for this. It needs to stop. Unfortunately it's not. It's now it's going to be like, who's at fault? Is it the parents' fault for not properly training their kids to have manners? Like, what is it? To teaching bullying is wrong. We deal with it with our kids all the time. It's at the school they go to.
Yeah.
Like growing up, that's part of childhood. It's sad to say, but I got bullied in school too. Who didn't get bullied?
Right.
But it's how you handle it and persevere from the situation.
Right. And not everybody can do that.
Right. Not everybody's strong
and then
enough.
It circles back to mental health. What put these 4 girls in the position to want to put that type of hurt in, or that type of, understanding that this is hurtful? Why would they go out of their way to go do something like this? Because either they were allowed to do it, there was no excuses, or, they just felt like doing it. That's basically what it is.
Right.
They could have had a conversation. They didn't want to have they felt like doing it, and they're just meaner and meaner. Just meaner and meaner. What are your thoughts on this situation? What is your understanding of how this sad situation could have been prevented? What are your thoughts about this particular, and this is not the first story that I've read. This is not the last story that I will ever read either.
No.
There was some comments on Instagram if you want to go take a look and see. What are some of the comments you think that some of these people are talking about? And it really boils down to, a lot of the parents were saying that they took her life because she didn't know how to handle it. And
it's crazy because like the boyfriend didn't even know that she committed suicide, because she called him that night, but he couldn't answer the phone. And and next thing you know, he found out that.
That's crazy.
So I guess she was trying to reach out to him.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Look at that. They say bullying doesn't affect people. Now charge those little girls with manslaughter because they caused it. May she rest in peace. Shame those girls. I hope the school does something about this. And I read an article that these girls were actually, her death, were still making like videos about her.
And the parents didn't, like, or maybe they were unbeknownst to them. They probably didn't know they were still doing that.
No, I think they must have informed them, because it's just a sad situation.
Mean girls.
Now touch my kid and the parents are going to learn a lesson.
Gonna learn today.
I told my girls, somebody hit you at school, you hit I don't care if you get in trouble. And I tell the kids the same thing.
No. We don't permit. We really don't. But you gotta defend yourself.
You gotta defend yourself.
There's a lot of things that you could take swinging. People will swing at you, verbally, mentally, however it is. But you gotta be able to stand up for yourself in some way, shape.
This one that says, my question is kind of the situation is, my parents didn't say or do something about a long time of bullying. I can't comprehend sometimes people write.
I don't understand.
So what parents did about?
So what?
So what did the parents do? So my mom, every day was when I was at school, she asked me about my day, about me. So we asked our kids cool too. Sometimes they withhold information.
Yeah, they don't always want to share.
We need to teach our kids how to be respectful all times, but show them too when to step up and say enough is enough. And put anybody in their place. I even told my daughter, when you are at school and somebody trying to abuse you, if they hate you, you hit them back. I don't care if you're going to travel school, but I guarantee you're going to be fine with me. And I'll say, good job, girl.
Don't matter. And then I think that's the idea. That's the foundation we're trying to get at. We're trying to get to the root of it, is saying that if there is a problem, will we be aware of it? Are other people aware of it? If there is something we do not know, how can we know if you don't communicate to us too? It's a shared responsibility between ourselves and our children. We don't want to be the ones to say, if somebody hits you, go ahead and hit them. but try to figure out all the reasoning first. Don't swing first and then talk later. Because sometimes you don't want to do that. We're not trying to condone violence, but you have to kind of stand up for yourself and say, in a sense, it's like, yo, your attitude is not acceptable. You need to go take a walk.
And this is like one of the reasons why, like ever since our kids were small, I always mess with them.
We always
every day.
did.
I always joked around with them. I always pulled pranks on them. I always took it a step further.
Yeah, because you
I had to take it a step higher, only because when they got older, I didn't want them to be
super sensitive.
Super sensitive. And our oldest, he has thick skin now. He's like he's like, whatever. People say stuff to him all the time. He's like, whatever. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't faze me.
Yeah, because my father has called me worse.
And I tormented these kids left and right when they were little, because I wanted to build that tolerance level.
Absolutely.
Of them getting annoyed, of them getting upset.
But again, that goes around mental stability and mental health. If you have a close relationship with your parents, right, and they're able to share and they want to share everything with you, that's how I feel our kids are. They want to share everything with us, and sometimes we can't get them to shut up. But I appreciate it because they tell me every single detail of going on in their throughout the day. And I appreciate that. You know what I mean? So that's something that I would want. Oh, that's my phone. Is that my phone?
That's a text message.
Oh, it's a text message. That's fine. Yeah. But that's the thing that I appreciate. That I want you guys to really understand that you cannot think that you are a failure as a parent because something like this happened, right? You can't take that blame on it because other girls had taken action and they did this to your child in particular. And there's the woulda, shoulda, coulda. How can I have prevented it? How can this have happened? Who was the one that's most responsible? But the statement it really boils down to who is really texting me? Like, really?
Oh, do not disturb, man.
I did.
Do not disturb, man.
My bad.
No respect.
My fault. But really where it boils down to is it's a shared responsibility. It's a sad situation, but the situation is shared amongst everybody. And I just feel terrible for the parents and for the girls that now the question is, are they being formally charged? Is there anything?
Find out later.
We'll definitely find out soon enough if there is any follow-up. We'll definitely let you know. But it's super sad that it came down to this, that now this 14-year-old girl has taken her own life because she couldn't handle certain situations. And maybe she didn't have a tolerance. And sometimes, we live in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, New York, and if you guys, we're a different breed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
if you guys want more insight on bullying, check out our episode on bullying. That was one of our first episodes we recorded, and we have one of our guests named Jesse, which he lost his brother to this type of situation, and
absolutely,
and just the repercussions after, and what his deal was, or how he ended up dealing with it throughout his life. It's a good story. Check it out.
It was. I don't think it's really focused on the bullying itself. I think it was really more focused on the after effects
of it,
of how suicide affects a family. And it's a very touching story. It's a very personal story, and just thinking about how these parents now have to live life,
deal and cope with this situation,
live without their child, which is super, super sad. But we want to continue. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to tell us guys what are your thoughts. Let us know in the comments. But we want to go on some happier news. We want to talk about money.
More money.
Celia Cruz has been selected to be on the U.S. currency coin. Super, super excited. She is going to be the first Afro-Caribbean woman that's going to be on the coin. And I think start in 2024. So, but again, that's a monumental achievement in itself. Man, I can't think, what was the last time we've heard of something like this? I think Maya Angelou was on
for 2022's mint coins on the quarter. It was Maya Angelou.
I remember.
Dr. Sally Ride, Wilma Mankiller, Nina Otero Warren, and Anna Mae Wong.
Yeah, I remember that these were some of the featured women that were on the
right.
The
they all achieved some type of, I guess, story or achievement or milestone in America or contributed
in history.
So Maya Angelou, she was celebrated as a writer, performer, social activist.
Yeah, I already know that.
Dr. Sally Ride, physicist, astronaut, educator, first American woman in space.
Yeah, I already knew that.
Yeah, Wilma Mankiller, first woman elected principal chief of the Cherokee Nation. Then you have Nina Otero Warren, a leader in New Mexico suffrage movement and the first woman superintendent of Santa Fe public schools. And then you got Anna Mae Wong, first Chinese American film star in Hollywood.
So these achievements
that's from 2022.
These are so can you tell me like what are the parameters or what are the qualifications in order for you to get on that coin?
I'll tell you right now. Boom, boom, boom. Where is that? Boom, here it is. So it's a process. So for last year, you have these are your 5 winners.
These are the ones for
these
this
are the candidates.
Year?
No, these are for 2023.
Oh, they're for
for 2023. But then 2024 is right here. You have Paulie Murray, poet, writer, activist, lawyer, and Episcopal priest. Patty Takamoto Mink, first woman of color to serve in Congress. Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, civil rights surgeon, women's rights advocate, and abolitionist. And then Celia Cruz, American singer, cultural icon, and one of the most popular Latin Americans of the 20th century. And then you have
Redbird.
Zigtala Redbird, writer, composer, educator, and political activist. So now when it comes to being a selection process, being selected, now the secretary and the treasury select the honorees following consultation with the Smithsonian Institution's America Women's History Initiative.
Oh, okay.
So the National Women's History Museum, Congressional Bipartisan Women's Caucus, in 2021, the public was invited to submit recommendations for potential honorees through a web portal established by the National Women's History Museum.
See, I didn't know that. I would vote. I didn't know.
Right. So step 1, you got to appoint liaisons. So the U.S. men initiate the design process by contacting appropriate officials within the Smithsonian Institute, which is what we the whole selection process. Now to develop design concept pool in consultation with our legislative consultants as well as representatives from the federal institution that
recommend. So there's certain fields that they talk about that they're not limited to like it talks about civil suffrage, government, science, space, arts. So those particular backgrounds are something that would.
Right. So now the whole design concept would be the men will the pool of design concepts that celebrate the importance, accomplishments, and contributions made by women of the United States to development, history, and our country.
So here we go. Don't forget, March is Women's History Month. No, March 8th is International Women's Day. And I think there's so many things that come after that. So you gotta remember, there's so many different steps and parameters in order for you to even be selected.
Right. So the pool of concepts should represent a wide spectrum of accomplishments and fields that include, but are not limited to, suffrage, civil rights, the abolitionist movement, government, science, space, and art should honor women from ethical and geographic diverse backgrounds.
Nice.
So step 3, you have your formal recommendation and secretarial approval. So this goes through a whole process where they get selected. Then step 4, you have the design production. Upon this, the mint will proceed to produce original quarter designs focusing on aesthetic beauty, historical accuracy, appropriateness, and coinability. Step 5.
What's coinability? I gotta think of that. What's coinability?
Step 5 would be candidate design review. So now the mint will present candidates' design along with comments or recommendations from the legislative consultants to the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts for comment and to the CECAC for review. The mint will consider all comments or recommendations and modify the candidate design as appropriate. Okay. So now the final step, the mint will present final candidates' design along with recommendations from all stakeholders to the security for final design selection.
So, yeah, that was a mouthful.
And I think there's a video here of the American Women for Quotas program through the educational video. So I guess there is a process.
So that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yep.
Congratulations, Celia Cruz. You have been a pioneer in
not just to her, but to all the women.
I mean, but to all of them. Permiso, perdón, sorry.
That contributed to our history.
Everything.
Our history.
So this is an amazing accomplishment. I hope you guys take a little bit of time and look into that research, look into there and saying that this is a big, big accomplishment. Same thing with stamps. I feel like stamps are another great possession to have and collect.
Commemorate someone's legacy.
And then My question is, have you seen any of these coins? I haven't seen any of these coins. I haven't seen the ones from 2022. I haven't seen
Everything's
them.
debit, credit, swipe.
No cash. No cash money. No cash money. But guys, I want to thank you for joining us in our live sessions today. We want to tell you we appreciate you guys. We want to continue with these live sessions and talk about all the things and the highlights and everything else in between. We want you guys to go ahead and check us out on Spotify. We're doing our School Commute Combos on YouTube and on Spotify, so definitely check us out. Continue listening on our live sessions here on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what else. What else we were telling the people? Talking about the new episodes coming out in March.
Yeah, the episode's coming out in March. We already started recording. We got a few episodes lined up to record. So
and then
the first week of March, our first episode for season 4.
Yeah.
Season 4 will premiere.
Yeah. So that's really what we're just working on. Working. But guys, thank you for joining us in our live sessions today. And we'll see you on the next one. This is Stephanie.
This is Andre.
This is Table for 4 live sessions. And we'll see you on the next one.
Take care, guys.
Take care, guys.